The book of Job, verse 26. How great is God, beyond our understanding. The number of his years is past finding out. How's it going? This is Christian RPG Gamers, a Christian community that also focuses on things like entertainment, to glorify God. It's more like a neutral channel. So today I was going to talk a little bit about a new upcoming video game called Dragon Age 4. I believe it's called the Veilguard, or also it was known as Dreadwolf. So let's take a look at the trailer. Okay, so obviously fair use is a thing. So let's watch the trailer. I might watch another little video at some point, but I'll try to give some kind of a Christian spin on this. We'll just go through this game. We'll just give some neutral thoughts on it. Well, obviously fair use is a thing.
Not looking good, old friend. This'll take more than you and me.
What are you thinking?
We need someone to be our eyes and ears in the shadows.
And someone to bring a little darkness to the daylight.
We're going into the Fade, aren't we?
And digging up a lot of buried secrets.
What about Darkspawn?
Yeah. Someone who will stand between us and a pack of demons.
You know there will be dragons.
Right. We'll need someone with fire in their blood. One more thing. This crew needs a leader. Someone we can count on. Someone that the world can count on. But where are we gonna find her?
Fair use is a thing. So here's some gameplay from the footage. Also, it's a little bit raining outside, so you might hear some little pecks of some rain or something, or some wind or some lightning or something. Okay. I think this game could be pretty fun. I'm gonna try to be a little more neutral. I'll try to give it a fair shake. It has some flaws to it, obviously, but we don't have to always focus on the absolute worst, right? So one thing that I was kind of hoping for, I think that like a more like even a Christian message, right, would be that they have this being in their game. They call him known as like quote unquote the Maker. He's supposed to basically represent God, in holiness in this game. So they have a being that basically represents the Lord, and I kind of hope that they'd be more willing to show respect towards religion in this fantasy world, rather than just be disrespectful. And they can they can show some strong traditional values and some norms, rather than just like it's like you don't have to disrespect the way things have been, right? We can show respect, and I think that's something that I would hope for, or I would appreciate, right? It's like I know it's a fantasy world. It's like, the main religions in these fantasy worlds are like more fictional worlds. They're supposed to, in a sense, be more of a representation of Christianity, or like maybe ancient Judaism, with God himself. So I hope they show more respect towards religion in this world. They have like the Chantry. They have again, like some of the stuff is pretty gray, right? But I hope they show respect. But I'm not sure if they'll do that or not. But we can again I think this game looks like it could be cool, right? Now I don't really know too much about it. Like I'm gonna try to go into content with a more neutral, like more open-minded. Like I'm willing to just kind of look past some minor errors. But we'll see if we can find some fun, right? Now, again, the people will decide whatever they want. They like it, they like it. They don't, they don't. It is what it is, right? All right, let's just take a look at this. Some of this. I'm not gonna probably watch all of this, but I'll watch maybe a little bit of this gameplay. Here, let's skip ahead a little bit. Yeah, let's just skip ahead to maybe 8 minutes in. Okay, so it shows a little bit of a
Varric, hiding. Not the worst timing.
Nev, it's so good to see you. We thought the Venatori had kidnapped you.
They thought the same thing. A lot of Venatori in the city have reason to hate me. Figured I'd play along. Find out who wanted to settle the score this time. Then the sky started raining demons. So I'm back on the job.
Appreciate it. Rook, this is Nev Gallus, our local expert. She's gonna help us find Solus. Nev, meet Rook. Both of you have done some work for the Shadow Dragons.
Isn't that a coincidence?
Some old friends said if I was working in Tevinter, the Shadow Dragons are worth trusting.
We haven't got a lot of time. Varric said you had a lead on Solus?
You get right to the point. I haven't seen Solus in person, but I did find hints of old magic, similar to what you get in Elven ruins. I traced it to a building beneath Our Lady of Victory. That's where your man is hiding.
Then let's go. Before this ritual he's doing gets any worse.
Worse, this ritual's already drawing more power than I'd expect from a dozen mages. You told me he was working alone.
I also told you he was an ancient elven god.
An elven god. Well, whatever he is, he's causing trouble in my city. Let's go.
Okay, so yeah. As a Christian, we, a people of the faith, believe that sorcery is it's evil. God in heaven condemns sorcery. Okay, obviously this is a fantasy world, but bad is still bad. I talk about the whole idea of deities or quote-unquote gods or whatever. Again, I kind of just like sometimes a fantasy game to just be more of a normal, neutral fantasy world. It doesn't... Just because something is fantasy does not mean that it has to take the most extreme and all the absolute worst aspects of the entire universe and everything evil and just put that only into fantasy worlds too. It's like the people who love fantasy are just obsessed and addicted to casting spells. They just love their magic and everything to do with their pagan witchcraft. Again, fantasy can be cool. I can hear that rain starting to come down. Well, it's just gonna have to be what it's gonna have to be. Again, there is so much magic in sorcery and fantasy. It's really dangerous, right? Now, I feel like you got to keep your wits about you. Now, I do think that it's possible as a person of the faith. You can just have a neutral, objective point of view, and you can just kind of overlook some of these things. I mean, it gets a little bit much sometimes, but that's one thing. Discerning wise, right? You got to have a little discernment. But there's still a great story with great characters and gameplay you can enjoy.
All citizens in the canal district must remain in their homes.
not in Minrathous anymore.
I know these trees. This is Arlathan Forest.
And there's your ritual. The power involved. I've never seen anything like it.
The tremors are getting worse.
And we've got demons.
So, I don't know if I really should talk over this or not, or how loud I'm going to be over them.
I thought the demons were bad back in Minrathous.
The Fade's a mess this close to the ritual. No telling what could come through.
So yeah. So they're fighting demons. They're, again, there's lots of sorcery in it. Again, so like, I mean, also you gotta live in objective reality. Obviously, Dragon Age is dark fantasy, so it's not just like a fantasy. It's also like the darker version, like The Witcher, or even like, you know, even some of it like Baldur's Gate 3, or even some of his other games, right? Like it's a little bit darker. It's on the darker side, not on the lighter side. So obviously, it's gonna have some darker stuff, right? But again, like, you know, there is a lot of spiritual evil. And it's also very obvious and apparent, right? And this stuff is dangerous. And we as Christians gotta keep our crap together a little bit too, right? Okay, so I found a little Bible verse. I think it's from 1 Peter. It says, therefore, preparing your minds for action and being sober-minded, set your hope fully on the grace that can be brought to you at the revelation of Jesus Christ. Bible verses while I'm at it, right? Okay, so this is from 2 Chronicles, ESV. And he burned his sons as offering in the valley of the son of Hinnom, and used fortune-telling and omens and sorcery, and dealt with mediums and with necromancers. He did much he did much evil in the sight of the Lord, provoking him to anger. One thing I think I'm going to say, and this, I'll say it right now, right? So I'm trying to use a little bit more scripture. I know people want me to back up some of my words with the Bible. I think hearing the word of God is good, especially as a Christian channel too. This stuff that you see in fantasy worlds, I'm going to be real with you. It does exist. Now, maybe it doesn't exist in the high fantasy CGI, you know, like the big movie theater Star Wars or something. Like, it doesn't have the big CGI effects in real life sometimes as they do. But this stuff does exist. Like, necromancers exist. Mediums exist. You have these prophets of false deities or quote-unquote gods. And all this stuff, it exists. In holiness, God is angry at this stuff. Yeah, here's just a handful of some examples, right? The book of Acts. But there was a man named Simon, who had previously practiced magic in the city, and amazed the people of Samaria, saying that he himself was somebody great. What's his name? Simon the sorcerer, right? Practiced magic. Again, magic is a bad thing. And God, and here's just an example. Here's just like, I don't know. I just typed in sorcery Bible verses. I got like, you know, probably more than 70 examples. The Bible is very clear that this kind of stuff is bad, okay? So let's not joke around here with ourselves. Make this video just to condemn everything bad in it. But you got to be real with yourself at the same time, okay? Obviously, you got to have some discernment. Bad stuff is bad, okay? And good stuff is good. And there's a line between the middle of them, good and bad. You know, choose good, don't choose the evil, right? Okay. Okay, so what are some other my thoughts on this? Okay. So, I'll say this, right? So there is a lot of diversity that I can obviously see from it, right? So I'm going to be real with you. As a Christian and as a conservative, I think diversity in a lot of ways is actually a very good thing. I think it's good. Okay? I know that people get mad, and I myself can get mad. But diversity is not a bad thing. And it's just something that people get mad about, right? Because it's just so obviously put out there all the time. Again, this is a very wide diversity cast. So you have a male leader, and he's, obviously, he's black, and you have a handful of some, you have like another character. They have lots of female characters, and like one of them is represented as being more Asian, and a handful of them are a little bit white, or maybe a little bit of some mixes. And to be honest with you, diversity is not a bad thing. Okay, it's not. There's nothing wrong with people of different colors of skin. And that's true. It could be that, because I'll be real with you, right? I'm white, right? I'm a white male. I'm probably regarded as a, what do you call it? It's like some, liberal meme. You call it, it's a cis white male, right? Like, I'm white, I'm a male, I'm straight. I represent, a lot of the masculine qualities. So it's like, obviously that's just the truth. But, as a Christian and a conservative, and just, a straight white man, there's nothing wrong with a wide variety of diversity. I think diversity is a good thing. I think as conservatives, we should embrace the idea of diversity, and we should champion it so we can tell it our own way, instead of letting the left always tell us what diversity is. It's a good thing in a lot of ways, and there's nothing wrong with it, and it's also just reality. People who are black exist, people who are Asian exist, people from India exist, right? You got people from different cultures, different norms, different groups of people, and there's all sorts of wide varieties of different, white people, right? And there's all sorts of different mixes of different races, and mix and match, right? And there's nothing really wrong with that. And having characters represented from all sorts of different groups isn't necessarily a bad thing. I don't really see what's bad about that, right? Now, when it's forced or it's pushed or it's provoked, it makes people mad, right? Again, people can be upset, but if you see characters of different groups, it's nothing really wrong with that. And the same thing with females, right? Now, I personally hold to a more traditional view that I personally believe that it should be more male over female, right? Because that's just the way it should be. But it's a good thing to have females in characters, but especially the main leader roles, like the head lead and all that kind of stuff, it should be a masculine character. It should be a strong alpha male character, and that's just the way it should be. It's just the traditional proper gender role. But there's nothing wrong with female characters and stuff too. And there's nothing wrong with having a wide diversity of staff of people. I think it's a good thing, okay? And I know there's probably going to be 1,000 articles out there. It probably already is. Being upset about all this stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's we can choose to just not be racist. We can just, we don't have to judge people based upon the color of their skin. Again, I personally believe homosexuality is a sin. But being straight, again, straight females or something, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with wide variety of different cultures, of different norms, of different land masses of people. There's nothing wrong inherently with that, okay? There isn't. And I know there's probably going to be a lot of anger that comes out from this, but it's this topic, right? It's okay. We don't have. We should judge people, as being a human being, looking from a neutral human point of view and perspective. And like stuff like merit, your deeds, your accomplishments, what value you give to society, things that are higher rather than lower. Okay, so I guess that's just something I try to be more neutral about, right? I try to be open-minded and more respectful of different groups and cultures. Again, you can agree, you can disagree. Some of the stuff is bad, some of the stuff is good. It's pretty gray, but it's just part of human life, right? And the United States of America isn't the only country that exists. We're not the only people through all of time. There's plenty of other people, and not all of them. It doesn't make all these groups bad, right? It's like it's just there's people of a faith. There's also Christians of other faith, and there's people who are Christians who are of the faith in other countries from different cultures. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So I'm not going to be mad about something like that. Okay. Okay. I think you have every right to be angry if they purposely push this crap in, and they do it in a way that's very disrespectful. Then I think you have the right to be mad. But we should respect other cultures and other groups of people, right? Okay. So there's that, right? Okay. So some of my thoughts. I think this game, I think it could be kind of fun. I think it's kind of like a cute little game, right? It's probably, in my opinion, probably gonna be like a 7 out of 10. Now, maybe if they do some updates and they change some of their perspective, I think people could be more open-minded to it come, say, 3 to 5 years from now. Same thing with like Dragon Age Inquisition. I think most people look at that game mostly favorably. It's probably like, it's mostly favorable. It came out, it was kind of fun, it kind of sucked a little bit. It had some positives and negatives, but overall, I think Dragon Age Inquisition, it was a solid game, given for what it's supposed to be. Dragon Age 1 was like a legendary, like, top-notch, video game. And Dragon Age 2, it was a solid game. It was a strong RPG, kind of a darker RPG video game. It had a solid story. It's a solid game. It wasn't the best, but certainly it wasn't the worst. And I think this game could be pretty cool. I think it's just like a fun little game. I think coming in with the expectations for Dragon Age 4, that it's just going to be a solid, fun, more neutral game. It's not going to be the best video game you're ever going to play. You shouldn't hold it to like the highest standards. But who's to say? It could be pretty fun. There's probably some pretty good stories to be told. There's some interesting characters, some cool moral choices, probably some interesting cutscenes. There's some fun combat. I think, if you hold it to just a fair standard, it's probably going to be a solid, neutral RPG game. Probably I think it's probably going to be like maybe a 7 out of 10. Maybe a 6 out of 10 to some people, maybe an 8 out of 10 to other people. It's probably like a good solid 7. Oops. Again, I don't think this is going to be the best game ever, but I don't think it's going to be the worst game ever either. It's probably the kind of game, to be honest, that I would buy on sale. I might pay like $40 for it. If I'm a little bit bored and maybe I want to buy a game. It's kind of like, that's a Star Wars Outlaws game. It's probably like, it's like a cute little game, right? I wouldn't say it's something that I'm going to be like looking forward to beyond all measure, but it's a solid game. It's probably a lot of fun. Maybe you can learn a little moral life lesson story. I think you're set within the city. I think the city itself might be called the Dreadwolf, and you're a band of like heroes that are called like the Veil Guard. I think it looks like a fun game. It seems like it's solid. I wouldn't say that I'm not like super pumped for it, but I think it's fine, right? Okay. So yeah, so again, as a Christian, there's I think that we can choose to kind of set aside some of our feelings and our thoughts and our beliefs. We can kind of set aside our real world perspective and kind of look at a lot of fantasy and stories from kind of like a scientific point of view, right? We can look at it from going to a movie theater. You can just watch it. You can have some fun. You can be entertained. Also, you can choose to learn something from it, and you don't have to and it's not real, right? So it's there's sorcerers, there's quote unquote gods. They got demons, they got lots of dangerous stuff, but there's probably a really good story to be told. And we can learn something as humanity, and it could be a net positive. It could be a cool game. I think it's like a cool game, but we'll have to see when it comes out, right? But yeah, I think it could be fun. I think that's a good attitude, right? We could just have some fun. You buy the game on sale, maybe you watch a walkthrough on YouTube. I don't know if I'm ever going to get around to it or not. I got too many projects as it is. But again, like I also think, like a game like this, watch a streamer play it. Watch a video like a game movie on YouTube. Watch a streamer stream it. Look at some reviews. Maybe wait till it goes on sale. Get the game, if you get the game $20 to $40, somewhere between $20 to $40, I think it's fine. I think it's a solid, cool game. I wouldn't say it's the greatest game, but it's not the worst either. It looks cool, right? Okay, so those are just some of my neutral thoughts on the new Dragon Age game. A little bit of a Christian spin to it. And yeah, thanks for watching. God is good.